All right. We
Welcome.
live. Episode 3.
Yes, week 3. It's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Derek.
I'm Robbie.
And you're listening to, I almost had one of the old workshop names.
Late Game Link.
Late Game Link. And yeah, thanks for joining us again. Just as like a quick recap, I guess, we're going to come together every week on Monday, and we're going to talk about various nerdy things, pop culture, things that are going on right now, and maybe just some continuation of conversations from before. But thanks for joining, and like, comment, subscribe, all of that.
Of course.
But yeah, aside from that, any more housekeeping before we just kind of jump into it?
No, I say we just jump into it. I think
right.
The episode's been going pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we just go for it.
Yeah.
You go first.
Well,
you're giving the energy today. You came right out.
I definitely do have energy. My just kind of musings on what's going on this week. Things I'm seeing, paying attention. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Rivals. I know we've played a little bit recently. Mm-hmm. And I am pleading with the Marvel Rivals development team to
like you've contacted them?
No, this is a public plea.
Okay,
this is a public appeal.
This is it right here.
To hire one gay person, because I just feel like the vibes on the costumes are the skins. It just takes me somewhere real specific. I feel like there is a lack of taste, and not across the board, because they just debuted. I don't know if you saw. They debuted a new Psylocke skin, which I really like. It's like It's like motocross vibe, and they make a lot of little decisions. Like this skin almost made me not bring this up in the podcast today because I was so impressed with it.
Okay. So that's you extending the olive.
I'm extending an olive branch to y'all because but it's a cool skin. She looks like a biker chick, and if you know in the game, her ultimate is just in like an area of effect, like zipping around. They added as a special effect like a motocross sound, like vroom, 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 as she zips and slices, which I love. I love these decisions. I love them. But I think what frustrates me is just like there are few like intellectual property that have like as much skin potential as like Marvel comic characters. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they understand that if you just adapt like a skin that like if you create a skin based on an iconic costume for a character, and you don't add all these frills, and you don't add a bunch of panels where it doesn't make sense, and if you just gave us like classic Storm as she debuted in 1975, it would sell crazy. Like I just feel like I need to be in the room to be like, if you just can capture some of the most iconic looks of these characters, you will make $1 gazillion. Mm-hmm. However, I just feel like, I don't know, in general I think the skins are just a lot of the time tailored to a specific audience of like men.
The yiddies are out.
Yeah, that are coming to this for something really specific, and I listen.
Like, why are they trying to get us to want to fuck mantis?
Hey, I'm not shaming that. I love that for y'all, but like, I think at the same time, like I said, I just want like Storm and Jean and Emma specifically. Emma looks like a friggin' magician's assistant. It is really terrible. Like her base skin, I play her despite really not liking how that character looks, and I think it just speaks a little bit to like I love aspects of this game that they take certain liberties, but I just feel like aesthetically the problems I have are purely aesthetic, and I just think like, again, maybe hire a gay person. I don't know, maybe you have a gay person working there, maybe they're feeling a little stifled. Speak up if you're listening, because I just want to I don't know, there's a lot of stuff with the skins, and then also to be fair, and I'm not the first person to point this out, but like if we're gonna like hoify all these characters, like do it to the men too, like I think the most we have is the Punisher skin, his like summer skin where he's like in a Speedo. Hey, we could push that further. We could push all that further, like I just feel like if we're gonna,
Do you think they focus more on the women for sure in those in the hoifying?
and maybe market value wise, like maybe those sell more. I'm sure that they do sell a lot of skins just based on like hot factor.
So this is my question then, because they're doing them to get sold, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, we've seen in a lot of video games recently in the last 5-10 years that's become a huge thing, like skins and buying battle passes. Realistically, how long does it take an employee of a game development company to make a new skin? What's the pay? Like, even if you have one of your employees take a week, make a new skin, it gets approved. Okay, maybe the skin only sells $10,000 worth of revenue, right? That's still probably a positive.
Yeah.
Like you saw, I don't know, maybe they don't want to dilute it, like make too many skins, and then like there's like this fake world eco system of skins. I don't know.
That's probably part of it. Because they're real stingy on certain, like some characters only have like, they've been out for a while, but I feel like some characters only have like 4 skins from being released from the beginning of the game. So I don't know. I don't have like hard numbers on that, but
I would just think you would want to crank out skins, like as many skins as you could.
Yeah.
But then, I don't know, maybe making too many is like overwhelming, and then the ones that are supposed to be more rare or more desirable don't feel that way because there's so many skins. I don't know. I would just think, especially for maybe a game like this, they would have at minimum, because people have their favorite comic book characters. Yeah. At minimum, have like 4 like bangers for each person. For each person at minimum, and then. But I don't know. Or if they're gonna make the hoification beach swimwear line for all these characters, like you gotta go both ways with it, I guess.
My plea, I'm fine with slutting it up. I think that is so fine, and I recognize it as part of this ecosystem and where we're doing this naturally. And also like I said, I like some of the creative decisions and how they are changing the characters. Like Daredevil just got dropped, and he's like infused with like demon energy. I didn't look into exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
But he's not just like a blind dude with echolocation. Like that's part of it, but they've expanded, what he can do so that he has a unique kit in the game, which I like a lot. Like I don't just like how these characters play. I just think like if you dropped like a classic Astonishing X-Men 2005 Emma Frost look that looks exactly like she looks in that comic, I think you would sell a lot of those, because then people could say, oh my god, it's just like, this iconic story I read. I know like people say nobody reads comics, but like, I don't know, like Storm has some of the most iconic looks in comics. Jean Grey, terrible look in the game. I hate all of Jean Grey skins. I think they really fumbled with her also. Again, this is coming from a selfish place, because my big 3 X-Women, Emma, Jean, Storm, I just feel like they look a little crazy in most of their skins, and I would love just a tasteful fashion. It doesn't help too that like X-Men comics from like 2021 to 2023 were throwing their equivalent of like the Met Gala in the comics, and they were commissioning these artists to come up with high fashion looks inspired by these characters and their powers that they would wear on the page to the Hellfire Gala. And like I feel like we saw some really innovative, interesting merge of fashion and superhero in a way that didn't feel tacky. It felt really tasteful, and it felt like stuff you would see on a real runway, but like, I could actually turn my skin diamond to like, accentuate this look. Or Storm had a cloak that was just a black storm cloud that she was manifesting. Shit like that like really resonated with my brain on like a fashion standpoint. Bring it to Marvel Rivals and you will print money, in my opinion. I feel like these looks are tried and true, So that's, again,
a lot of them don't have to do with their character even, or like their powers. I mean, I'm sure some of them do, but that's what it feels like. Part of your point is that they have a huge comic book backlog that they could just pull they could pull anything. But
anything. But again, I say that with so much reverence for the people that are designing this stuff. It's not easy designing, looks, and I'm not necessarily like a visual artist like that. So like, I respect you, but friendly suggestion for, again, I think what the people want. I think the people want some more like comic accurate, skin options. Even just one for every character. Give them like an iconic look that is ripped from the page, So
verbatim.
Yeah,
That would make their job easier too, probably. Mm-hmm. You don't have to think of any new design; just make that exact design.
It feels maybe there's some legal something with some of these looks too. Yeah. I don't know.
Ooh.
Either way,
I could have just I could have cracked it right there.
I stand by all my statements. So
I mean, it's the Marvel IP for the game. I feel like that'd be crazy if they could make the comic book. But yeah, we don't know. We don't know.
Yeah, like there's. I'll get into this later, but there's like specific rules about like depicting certain characters and things. Like there's like a Bible for Spider-Man, for example. But I'll save that for my later thing.
Starting easy.
But what you got this week? What's going on?
Yeah, one of my I guess topics of the week is I've just been appreciating handheld gaming more. Mm-hmm. And I think most people would agree that it's easily the best it's ever been, to the point where if people haven't been handheld gaming recently, I think it's something that has become very real and viable, and sometimes a better gaming experience than normal. And this is coming from a person. I have a Steam Deck, I have the PlayStation Portal, and I have the Switch 2. Used to be the Switch, now Switch 2. And I don't know. I've also my entire life had, like a Game Boy. I remember getting like the PSP when it dropped, and I had like every iteration of the Nintendo, all the way up to like the 3DS. It is the fact I just don't think it's given enough credit. The fact that we can play AAA titles on a handheld device, it is crazy. I think we've skipped over that. Mm-hmm. The awe of that. I think people are more worried about, and rightfully so, for some of the technical things like frame rate. Like you want it to play smooth, and they just released like the Rogue Ally, the Xbox version one, which I think is like extremely expensive. Mm-hmm. Which again, like I get it. It's it's never easy gaming in a full well-rounded perspective where you can have every experience and have every console. Like that's not going to happen. Yeah. But I don't know. I think people complain still about certain handheld gaming specifications and whatever their complaints are about. I am just, again, for somebody who started with the Game Boy and is now here, which that's like one of the the founding fathers, I guess you could say. Yeah. It's just amazing. Like legitimately, I was on the train going to a friend's house I was on the train for like an hour and a half. I was just ripping the Steam Deck, and I'm like, this is incredible. Like I am still at awe by it. Which I don't know. It was just something I wanted to bring up. Yeah. I just feel like it's not talked about enough. And how cool it actually is. And a lot of my gaming time has now shifted to handheld gaming, like those devices. Now, I know if you talk to somebody who's really into gaming, like kind of how I am, they're going to be like, yeah, no, we agree. I've said this from day one. There's a difference between, diehards and then the masses, right? Mm-hmm. So that's even kind of with your skins thing, Marvel Rivals. You have, diehard fans of Marvel, but then you have the audience of they want every kid with an Xbox and PlayStation to download this game, right? So there's very different audiences. But I think that these handheld gaming devices easily could bridge that gap. Like they can get more into the masses than it is now. Yeah. And again, I think price might be a part of it, which is always fair. But I think there are people who can afford to have at least one of these handheld gaming devices and don't have one. And that they would be very pleasantly surprised with gaming on it. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's something I wanted to bring up. And kind of... Well, I don't know. I guess I'll get your take on that before I go to the next part of it. But.
My take on it, and this is probably... It's making me think a little bit about how I'm like, I don't know, socialized, the illusion of choice, yada yada. Mm-hmm. But I feel like I do have a Switch at home. And I don't know. I just feel like even with the option to do it handheld, I always just play connected to the TV whenever I have played the Switch in the last like year or two.
You never like laid in bed before going to bed and like ripped the Switch?
I used to, like, during the pandemic. I got the Switch during the pandemic. I like did like a CVS parking lot drug deal for a Switch because if you recall, they were limited supply.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean, I definitely did a bit. And, like, you know, I lived, like, with roommates, and I'd be in the living room. Sometimes we would all be hanging out, and I'd be playing, like, Fire Emblem and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's some sort of, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think if I had the option for a bigger screen, I typically am doing that. And most of my mobile gaming at this point is, listen, arrest me another day, but, like, I play, like, mobile League of Legends sometimes, and I'll do that on my phone.
Yeah.
But that's, like, the extent of my, like, mobile, handheld kind of gaming thing. And I used to play, like, Pokemon Unite. Which that'd be fun to talk about one of these days.
True.
But,
yes, it would.
yeah, like that sort of thing, but I feel like it has to be like casual games, and if I'm doing something narrative especially, I think I realize I kind of just want a TV. But that's like a personal preference thing. And maybe if I had more experience, like if I had a Steam Deck, because I watched a friend play, not Baldur's Gate, Divinity 2.
Oh, yeah.
Play that on their Steam Deck, and I was like, oh my god, that is like a full narrative game. It looks the same.
Yeah.
You have complete control.
I actually have that in my library right now to play next on the Steam Deck. So, yeah, no, I can definitely personal like comfortability and like what you're expecting. I get like sometimes I lean the opposite in like sort of the opposite way of you where I'll just feel lazy or I don't want to like something about like laying down in bed like the hour before falling asleep and gaming that way. Versus like going downstairs, turning the TV on, like, you know, going in the living room and like doing all that. Like, it's the same feeling you're feeling, just switched, right? Like you want that. You're like, oh, I feel more comfortable putting it on the big screen. So yeah, it definitely, when you're talking about, especially in your house too, it's like you're going to have personal preference.
Yeah.
But even especially when you're in moments like this weekend when I took the train and stuff like that, it's like, you know, or I talked about, I think it was last episode, if you're on like a flight or something like that, or even, you know, this feels weird to say because I just recently got married, but my wife.
What?
Yeah, I feel like old as shit saying that. No, we're not old. But she'll want to use the TV.
Yeah.
So, for example, the PlayStation Portal, if I want to play a PlayStation game, but she wants to use the TV, I can sit there next to her and, you know, play it on the Portal.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Or just another game in general on the other devices. So, yeah, I think it can be widely used by many people. And I think eventually, we finally hit now, like, because the Switch was the one that skyrocketed to everybody's hands
because the Wii U flopped.
Yes.
And even before then, I don't know Nintendo DS's popularity outside of like our demographic, which was like teens, you know, younger kids at the time it was coming out. Like I don't think that had reached in the way the Switch has to like a generational thing.
So yeah, now you have all major like game developers and people who are making these devices plan to make games on these devices, to make like Xbox is just launching theirs now. So it's definitely not going away. I think it's only going to exponentially get bigger, and I think more and more people are going to have that like aha moment once they finally get the device that they feel like that's worth it sort of thing. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's super cool. Every time I play, at least once a week, I'm like, this is so awesome. And maybe just because I have like thousands of hours of like Game Boys and DSs under my belt, that I'm just like, oh my god, like this is just such a crazy gaming experience.
I feel like society peaked with the what's it called, the thinner DS when they came out with that. The light.
DS
I
Lite,
feel like that was.
Yeah,
if
was
I could,
sick.
if they
That
could
was
just release that again.
That was the DS that I got, so I didn't get a DS right away. Like the chunkier DS, I had the light.
I had the chunky one, and I think when the light came out, and I was like, oh, I like ran that into the ground. I think I might have broken it. I don't know. I loved the DS Lite.
Yeah, that was a great hand console there. But then I also kind of just segues into the Portal, specifically the PlayStation Portal is what I use this mostly on. And this has been in talk for years. I think this is 100% coming, and it's only a matter of time. But streaming video games is going to become a lot more prevalent, which this will also bring me to my next point about how I don't think people are going to be buying games as much as they will be buying subscriptions to stream games. That's definitely coming. That was something that was like, and still people to this day are like, no, like I want to own my games. Like I get it. Like I love owning physical hardware and owning my own games. Yeah. But I mean, we're just at the point where they are.
Well, that's not the way society's going.
Yeah, they are straight. I mean, they're taking the yearly steps that they need to take. They knew they weren't going to convince people in a couple of years. Mm-hmm. They know that the tech has got to get better. People's mindsets got to get better with the whole thing of streaming. But I will say, I mean, again, I'm big into physical collecting and having your own games. It's pretty nice. Yeah, I have the PlayStation Plus like subscription that like most people have, like to stream and everything, and I have like a game catalog on there that you can just, there's like hundreds, and you can just stream that. And as long as you have again, if you're like somewhere on a flight, right? On a flight, you need like a downloaded game, and I get that. But a lot of the games, I can just. Like Ghost of Tsushima, I was playing a lot on the Portal, and I was able just to stream that.
When you say stream that, you're saying, like, what do you mean?
So, there's a
you're not saying stream it for an audience.
No. Sorry,
that's how I was hearing
it's
that.
It's like the Netflix of gaming. So, you are actually streaming the game to your device as opposed to your device.
We've talked about this. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Well, it's not even through the PlayStation 5. It's like through the internet. So
damn. But you don't need to download it onto your device to play like a full like AAA game.
Yes. Yep. Correct. And
damn.
Yeah. So again, this has pros and cons, but I think the big thing that people see that are developing in this is that not only can you get people hooked on like a subscription-based thing, which is sometimes good, sometimes bad, depending on the price, but it allows people to achieve a certain level, like a certain quality of gaming for cheaper. Yeah. So, for example, that PlayStation Portal is like less than half the cost of some of these handheld like Steam Decks. Yeah. I think the really cheap Steam Deck, it might not be half, but the Steam, I got like the OLED Steam Deck. I think the very first they're still selling some of like the lower models of the Steam Deck, and I think that's kind of a ripoff. I think you need to go one step up, because some of the like storage and the screen like aren't that great. So the Portal is way cheaper, like less than half of what I paid for the Steam Deck. And that's like huge. Like that's something where even in like PC gaming, right? So a lot of people spend at least at a minimum, if you're somewhat of a serious gamer, at least at a minimum $1,000 for your like desktop computer, right? And that's very much on the low end of gaming. You're talking
if you want
like
to do a serious
1080p,
gaming.
You're not even at like 1440p at that point. I mean, you could in some games, but not some of these AAA. That's even going to leak into PC gaming, where you don't have to have that strong of a computer to be able to play these games on the PC. I'm not the first person to say this. I'm definitely not an expert, but I think this is going to be more prevalent. You're going to see it. It's already becoming big with streaming. Yeah. With handhelds, because that makes sense. Because it's like, with a handheld device, it costs a lot to fit all of that powerful stuff into a small handheld format. I feel like it's almost the testing ground for streaming games, because people with their desktops. I mean, I personally have a desktop and I play games on the desktop. It'd be really cool if I could keep this desktop for another 10 years and I'm streaming the games as opposed to having a really beefy, expensive desktop to be able to handle them. So, I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I could change my mind, but I just think streaming is going to become bigger. It could open doors for a lot of people that don't want to spend $2,000 on a desktop. And it's starting in the handheld space now. And I've played games so far and it's been very smooth. So I don't know. That's just something I wanted to bring up because I think it's
that is interesting. Cool. And I have to do some research. In general, my anti-capitalist. I don't like the subscription vibe of everything. They're about to make us subscribe to go to the grocery store, and I don't like that. I mean, you already do if you go to sometimes like a whatever. But like, I am hesitant to endorse a subscription option as opposed to like owning the media. Like, I think that's just objectively always going to be more in consumer interest. But, I have to do more research because I literally know nothing about like the streaming, the politics of that, and like where that conversation is right now. So,
it's one of those things now where I don't think over time as consumers we're going to be able to control the direction this goes. Because if it works well, it's only a matter of time. They'll eventually get it through, and there's gonna be people like us. Like you can't see on the camera, but like up there, I have a ton of consoles all up there in the thing. I pull them out when I want to play a lot of physical games. I've bought like every PlayStation console. Like, I'm all about the physical, and I wish it never changed. Like, honestly, if it was my choice, I'd be like, we should have just been doing it. Like, you go to GameStop or you go to your local game store and buy the CD, whatever. If I had the choice, I'd still want that, but I know I don't have the choice, and so
it's not going to be that, and it's a tough thing to resist. I mean, like the example that comes to mind a little bit for me is like AI and AI being a free resource for now, but it's a free resource for now that's being integrated into every level of society. So you're telling me they're not slapping subscription services once we all rely on this, and it's integral to sending your kids to school or getting certain tasks done, and like they get to set the price of that. So once we rely on the system as they are currently constructing it, they can say, well, you want to do the subscription thing, it's actually $150 a month, and if you can't afford it, well, then you don't get to do the thing. I don't know. I just hate greed, y'all. We gotta
it sucks.
So I don't know, but I don't know how that intersects with this per se, because I just feel like there's genuine pros to like what you're describing about not needing to download all the information, being able to access something right away, and like ease of access for this sort of thing. That again, inherently, a lot of the stuff we talk about, like games and comics and all that, there is like it isn't accessible, and there is like a price hurdle to access a lot of this shit. So like if this can equalize or increase accessibility and access, like that's not something I'm against. So I have to do more research. I'm probably just talking out my ass right now. I don't know.
No, I think that was good. I think that just like every sort of new thing that is brought to the masses, it's great at first. And then it's exploited. Like once they get enough, because they want people to sign up. That's the thing. If on subscription-based things, anything that is just starting out will be the best type of deals and experience you have with it, and then it gets greedy. So I think right now we're starting to get into where this is really cool, because I guess technically for that you do have to have that like subscription, but I already had that through PlayStation anyway. So like to me, at least for now, it wasn't like I had to buy another subscription. I guess I had to buy a new device, but that's the whole point. I wanted a handheld.
Exactly.
I can easily see it getting like any subscription-based thing. Once people they're used to it in their day-to-day lives, then they start cranking the dial, and but I don't know. I thought. But
that what can we do about that? I want to fight God. You know what I mean? I want to fight the sands of time, and you can't do that.
Exactly. So
it's something I'm curious. If I do get the Portal, I would definitely give this a try, because I want to I would love to just have access to more games in that sort of, format.
Yeah. I guess this kind of also, I'll segue to this as my only other topic for the week, like the weekly topics that we do. I kind of already mentioned it with some of those consoles. I feel like I find myself, this is the other side of the coin, I've been collecting more physical media as opposed to digitally having things. I think there needs to be a good balance. So, for example, I feel like I've been buying a lot of the games that I've lost over the years that were like from my childhood. I've been like regaining those. So I don't know. I think it's becoming that's also becoming important. Is it one of those things where do we need to get it now before it becomes astronomical levels of cost? Like is it even too much money now? Because some of these things, like you were with me when we went to that one event. What would we call that? What is that called? Like just
it was like a gaming convention.
Convention, yeah. I got all of some of the Game Boy Pokemon games that I've lost over time that I used to have as a kid. They were like $50-$60 a game. Like that. It's outrageous.
What's so wild though is, and maybe because I could see that they were so well preserved, and like I knew that like if you booted this up, like just they were real serious about their craft at this thing.
I'm not faulting the people. It's more like a market, I guess. But
like, to me, $50 for like Pokemon Fire Red does not feel absurd to me, and part of it is because like and I'm sure Nintendo hates that this happens. I don't know the politics of this, but like fuck Nintendo also. Sorry, like I'm not caping for Nintendo, the company. But I don't know. I feel like there's a I feel like you're paying to own it. You're paying to have that and to have that permanently, so that if you want to play it, you don't have to sign into Nintendo Switch and make sure that you're, online.
Have the device.
Yeah, or you're you have to pay to access online in Nintendo, right?
Online.
Like you don't have to pay that in order to access this game from your childhood. Yeah. So you're paying for like the security, and in that way, I'm like $50 for Pokemon Fire Red.
Yeah,
I mean,
for the rest of your life.
That's
just don't get rid of it. Like,
yeah. And I don't know how those cartridges maintain either. Yeah. So I don't know if it is really for the rest of your life. But in my mind, that feels for the authentic experience. This is my nostalgia brain that I had growing up. Picking Charmander for the first time, like that. Yeah, that's $50. Okay. I mean, if it was like 120, which is the direction I feel like the office is going. Yeah,
like Heart Gold, Soul Silver is like 120.
Oh, I did like Soul Silver. Soul Silver.
That's one of the ones that I do want to get in my collection.
Did you have that when you were a kid?
No, I never owned it.
What?
Which is insane.
It came with a little thing, so you could export,
Walker.
And you could put it on and walk around the neighborhood.
Oh, that was.
They tricked me.
It came out right at that time where I was so socially influenced to like I didn't want to be made fun of.
Yeah, you were like I'd be a loser walking around with my Pokemon Walker.
I stuck with the games I already had and played them when I wanted to. And I don't know, there was a little stint there where a couple of those DS games I either didn't play or played way later, sort of thing. But yeah, I am kicking myself for not getting. Well, another thing was I had Crystal. That's one of the games I've never gotten rid of is Crystal. And I was like, I have Crystal. Like, why do I need like the Heart Gold Soul Silver one? Like, I already can play Gen 2.
You didn't understand.
Idiotic take.
You didn't understand.
I did not understand.
And it was like that. Honestly, maybe hot take for the hot take list. I feel like they peaked with Soul Silver. Yeah, I feel like that people say that balance of 2D and 3D that they hit in that game specifically. It's so vivid in my mind. Yeah. And I just remember being so impressed. And that was the game where they let you have a companion when you walked around. Yeah, so yes, it was the little sprite. But, like, you could have, Typhlosion walking around behind you as you walk through the town. That shit was so good. Yeah. That was the best. Do you own Soul Silver at this moment?
No, so it's on my list to get it.
You got to drop $150 to,
I know. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we'll see. I don't know. I still grapple with that. Like, oh, God. Like, gonna have to spend 3 figures worth of money to buy this. So I don't know. Oh, and this also makes me think. I'm heavily into fake cartridges.
Yeah.
I know there's a huge community out there. If anybody who would watch this that's a part of it, I know many people that are like this. They want the authentic, like, cartridge for whatever they're buying. And, like, that's great. And for a couple things, like the Pokemon games that I bought, I wanted the authentic ones.
Yeah.
Right? But I am not against having a fake cartridge whatsoever. I have a fake cartridge of Nintendo, the 64 Stadium 2 game. So not the first Stadium 2, which is like the more expensive one. And I found a cartridge, like a fake one. It looks real, fake one. And they said in the thing it's fake. We're not trying to trick you. $20. I was like, as long as it plugs in, physically goes into the 64 and plays the exact game, no questions asked, like everything works correctly.
Who cares?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's amazing.
I forgot that was an option. Yeah, no, that's lit.
Yeah. You know? So like remember that too. Like some of these things are getting so expensive. I even thought like, what if I just get like a knockoff Soul Silver?
Yeah.
It's probably $20. Probably $20-$30. And they just, I mean, that's their risk. They're running that risk, not me. They're the ones distributing fake stuff. Like, you know.
I mean, Nintendo is coming for y'all. For sure. Like, you are not getting away.
Yeah.
But you probably are. I feel like they joke about being litigious. Never mind. I was going to bring up something. I was going to bring up other things that Nintendo is choosing not to be litigious about right now. At the U.S. government. But I'm not going to bring that up right now. Yeah, I don't know. I endorse that as well because I just feel like there's a I don't know, like it's about the experience and like it's as much as I think for like a collector thing, which it sounds like is the reason that you wanted to get those specific cartridges. I understand that, like as a collector myself of a lot of things, like I feel like that's like important. But like for the game, like
like to want to be able to play it. I mean, that's a great option. That's a great physical option.
Don't break the bank for the experience more so. That feels like something, you know, if you can get it for cheaper, then yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I have a couple fakes and probably will continue. But, it depends. But yeah, that's kind of what I have for the week. Nothing too crazy.
I have pseudo follow up for one thing I brought up last week about Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, and why I didn't like that. Ryan Reynolds, enemy of the pod. I don't know if we want to have a running enemy list. I feel like that'd be kind of fun.
That would be kind of fun.
So like Ryan Reynolds.
And like where they rank, like enemy number 1 or enemy number 2.
By virtue of being the only one right now, Ryan Reynolds, you are enemy number 1.
You almost threw James Gunn on there in association, like an honorable mention.
He's an honorable mention.
Right. So far, enemy of the pod,
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds. Right.
James Gunn, honorable mention. Oh, and I'm not going to get into it today, but Morgan Wallen is on this list as well. Morgan Wallen is at number 2, and I don't think I have to explain. Yeah, I think we're going to leave that one there. But no, I was going to say my issue isn't even necessarily with Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. I realized upon thinking about this a little bit more, I think there's just something to tying these characters, like these characters that are archetypes, these characters that are like they represent a lot more than a person or a writer or an artist, even in their creation. They are created by usually like, you know, there's like a writer credited, an artist that's sometimes credited, sometimes not, you know, and there's a lot of drama around that too for a lot of these characters that debuted in the 60s, where Stan Lee took credit for a lot that the artists he was working with were doing, you know, and there's a lot of tension there. But all that to say, like, these things are not created by one person or one thing. And sometimes I think I get a little weirded out by what comes from trying to attribute it to one person. Like, there are people that, you know, I mean, can't name, like, who created, you know, Wolverine, for example. But they know Hugh Jackman, and that's fine. But I sometimes I would love for there to be just a little bit more acknowledgement of what came before, and also I think it's respectful. I'm talking around something right now, so I'm hearing myself. So I watched Marvel Zombies, the first 3 episodes of the 4-episode limited series on Disney Plus or the high seas, and I did not finish the series because I really don't like the animation. It's very general MCU thing. Marvel Zombies was a comic that came out in like 2005 or 6 about a zombie virus going through the Marvel universe, and you saw all the heroes turned into zombies, and then that was like a thing. So this is like basically Marvel Zombies in the MCU. So it centers the characters of the MCU, and that makes sense because the MCU is their most lucrative vector of this. It was never going to be an original story. And actually, speaking of like depiction of these characters and rules around it, Spider-Man is present in this. And this show was originally going to be a movie. But there are rules about Spider-Man being depicted, and for him to be in a movie, I forget what the thing was, like he has to be like the main character or something, or there has to be something. Sony has to have a certain level of like involvement for them to publish a movie. So they had to split this movie into 4 episodes because Spider-Man was present. Like that. So there's just all that to say, there's weird publishing stuff behind a lot of this stuff. But
I did not know that.
This ties into the Ryan Reynolds of it all because T'Challa, Black Panther, is featured in this. And for the other characters in this show, they're either voiced by the person that played them in the MCU. Like I think they got Awkwafina to voice her character from Shang-Chi. If you remember, she was in that movie.
Yep. She's in this.
Yes,
animated
and her and Shang-Chi, Simu Liu is also voicing his character, I believe. I meant to see exactly who was present and who was not, because they didn't get everybody right.
Yeah.
But
still getting like big names. I mean, that's like a big production.
But it is also, if they couldn't get the person who played the character, they got like basically someone to try to impersonate how that person sounds and then to voice them in the show. So T'Challa is featured, and there's just a lot of conversation to be had. This is kind of my main point for today, or my main conversation, I think. Like, T'Challa, like, as a character is extremely iconic, and was iconic, to be clear, before Chadwick Boseman portrayed him. However, Chadwick took that character to levels of mainstream awareness and appreciation that like no one could ever deny. And his passing is so tragic. And like I remember where I was when I found that out. It was so awful to see this like prominent black superhero and a black male superhero, like, you know, the actor passed, and then they had to rework the second movie and you know, all that, for sure. I understand. And I understand out of respect for him not recasting him to a degree. But I think my issue is I was watching the show and I was honestly shocked at every character getting some sort of like voice or something. And then his sequence in this thing, spoilers for this show that I didn't finish or like. So, you know, like, know that that's whatever. But like, in the second episode, I think it's Spider-Man, T'Challa, and another character are fighting zombie Thanos, and the whole sequence is narrated by whoever they got to voice Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And he's like, you know, T'Challa was so fierce in combat, and, you know, in the final moments of the fight, and this is as we're seeing the sequence go, he let out a Wakanda Forever, and he like tackled Thanos into like a wormhole thing, and they both died. He had sacrificed himself to kill zombie Thanos. Okay. And I just feel like I was so shook by that, because I was like, we're really not, like, since his passing, we have not gotten, in the MCU anyway, or in this sort of project where you could be creative, we have gotten no development of T'Challa as a character because of the passing of this actor. Yeah. And is that truly respectful of Chadwick's legacy? To say we are, you know, and I understand, like, you know, I did really like the Wakanda Forever movie. I don't know if you saw Wakanda Forever.
Was that the first or second one?
The second one.
I saw the second one. And
had Namor, and his sister ended up taking on the Black Panther role. Yep. I really like Shuri as Black Panther. And in the comics, they somewhat share the responsibility sometimes, or they've passed it back and forth, or they've both been the Black Panther at a time. And I love that.
It should have been her. It should have been her voicing Black Panther.
Right, why don't we have Shuri why don't we have Shuri in there? I just feel like, as a character, I really don't want us to lose T'Challa, and there have been a lot of conversations about this online around like hashtag recast T'Challa, where people are like, as much as we want, we have to respect what Chadwick brought to this role. we should not toss this character out because he passed away. And like, you know, there's the ever encroaching fear of MCU synergy in the comics where like, could we see, and this was a fear I think a lot more like when he passed away, but like, are they gonna sunset T'Challa as a character out of like respect for Chadwick? And like, you know, I think this ties into my thoughts about Ryan Reynolds, because I'm just like,
and Hugh Jackman.
Yes, like all of this, because I'm just like, this is an example of like real world actor stuff really influencing like the degree or what's going on with these characters, like publishing and depiction, in a way where I'm just like, I don't think that's like, I think what would truly be respectful of Chadwick's legacy, especially now, and especially now they're doing Secret Wars, I think there's going to be some sort of universal reset or semi-reset in the MCU where they're going to recast certain people and not recast certain people. I think that's what they need to do. I think we need to step into a new phase of something. But yeah, at the end of the day, I just like really was unnerved by them not giving T'Challa, and maybe no one would want to voice it. I don't know. I'm not a part of these conversations, but like, I would love for there to be just some level of like, this character, you know, obviously like, well, this character will outlive all of us, and like, there's something to be said for like what came before, what Chadwick contributed, and what another actor or portrayal could build upon. And yeah, and I just don't see a world where like Ryan Reynolds lets go of Deadpool. And I think that unnerves me a little bit, right? Like, I'm like, you clearly feel so much ownership over this character that existed for like, you know, 2 decades before you depicted him for the first time. And obviously you elevated the you know, profile. But I don't know. Also, yeah.
It could affect not only the fact that they want to stick with that one person, and that's now like, you know, how the public will only view that character right now, and that dictates things.
Right.
But things have gotten so popular, just having to pay Ryan Reynolds to do something that is Deadpool significantly affects what you're going to do with the character Deadpool.
Yeah.
Because if you want him to voice it, if you want him anyway involved, right? It's either going to be super expensive and we'll include him. We're not including him because we want to keep Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yep.
So therefore, we're just not going to involve Deadpool in whatever story we're writing right now. Or, you know, somehow break this facade that we have that Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool and take another route with it, but you know they'll never do that.
They'll never do that.
And that's like preventing them from doing that. So yeah, I can easily see, and you know, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I always assume that the comics are like a ton of splitting stories off of other stories and different universes and timelines, and there's like so many different permutations of even just characters, let alone storylines.
Yeah.
All of a sudden one hero shows up in a storyline of another heroes that's never showed up before, and like there's a lot of crossovers and, you know, different types of Wolverines or Spider-Man or whatever it is. And yeah, I could see you being angry that in a movie or TV show you're only ever going to see Ryan Reynolds you're only going to see Hugh Jackman as Wolverine.
I mean, there have been other depictions of of Wolverine. I will say, like X-Men '97 was a show that just got produced like in the past couple years.
Okay.
And I feel like that depiction of Wolverine, it's short Wolverine. He's less leading man. He's more like berserker, you know, barbarian class in the group, but with a heart. And there's nuance to that character. But like for Hugh Jackman, for example, like he's never gonna play a Wolverine that's not standing in the middle, right? Like that's always going to be what it is if Hugh Jackman's involved, and no one else is going to play Wolverine until Hugh Jackman gives up the reins. Yeah. So I think that's another area where I'm just like, I would love to see a depiction of the X-Men where Wolverine is not centered, and like that is not happening while Hugh Jackman is in the orbit of this. Like he's going to be the one.
You know what I can also see? I can see. Because again, like I've seen MCU movies and TV shows. I have not read Marvel comics in any shape or form, And this has brought Marvel to a completely new audience that doesn't either know about the comics or doesn't care, whatever it is. And what happens when you've already created this system, and then I'm sure there's boardroom meetings where they're like, oh, we make a new Wolverine, and, you know, Tommy, little 15-year-old Tommy is like, that's not Wolverine, like, this feels weird, you know, like, they almost branded Wolverine so heavily with Hugh Jackman that's even harder for people who aren't open-minded or just aren't used to comics, and that just got kind of brought in to to Marvel through the MCU, and like, I can see them being like, oh, this feels tacky, this feels weird, this isn't the Wolverine that I know, and they're not in the mindset of like, this is how comics are. There's like many different depictions. I mean, just think of Spider-Man. Like, I feel like they somewhat did it well with Spider-Man. The fact that we've had now 3 different main Spider-Men,
and with different
depictions,
vibes,
with different
things.
Vibes and everything, and you know, but even that had like, you know, people kind of bitching about which one's good and which one's not, and you know, I can easily see them being hesitant in that way too, being like, well, it's, you know, it's not going to feel like Wolverine anymore, and then our kid's going to watch it, because at the end of the day, they're making, you know, I forget exactly what age it is, but everything is geared towards like a 14-year-old male audience. You're right. That is like the encatchment that they want to like take, because that then involves a family dynamic. You can get the family to the movie theaters to watch it. I forget. There's a couple other things. I remember looking into it that is like their catch-all demographic. Like, if you can get a 14-year-old boy to love it, depending on what the topic is, but especially
everyone's getting dragged to the movies.
That's the way you can get the most money, right? And so is the 14-year-old boy gonna like this new Wolverine, this new Deadpool, you know?
Yeah.
And for now, I mean, especially if their whole life has been Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, you know, and like
and I don't think people are ready for like, I don't think Hugh Jackman's Wolverine is inauthentic or off per se. Just I don't think that like Ryan Reynolds is off, you know. I just think that there's so much nuance to these characters and different ways they fit into, you know, I don't know. I think about some of the stories. I was just rereading an X-Force series where, you know, Wolverine is leading X-Force, and I might have told you, I probably have told you about this before, but it's one of my favorite X-Force series ever. But he's leading a team because they find out Apocalypse has been cloned, and their Black Ops are completely off the radar. They're not communicating with any other X-Men except for the 5 that are on the team. Deadpool's there too. Okay. And they find the clone of Apocalypse, and it's a child. It's like a 9-year-old boy. And they are weighing, are we going to kill this kid? Like, are we about to cross this line?
Like, are we able to have the kid make his own choices and turn?
Can we take him to the school? Yeah. Can we have him enroll in the school? The kid's crying through this whole conversation as they debate his thing, and they land on no as one of the X-Men walks up and shoots him in the head. Like one of the 5 kills him, Phantom X, and it's so raw. And Wolverine has a really complex reaction to that because he has seen the horror of Apocalypse. Apocalypse has completely devastated like the world at times, and like he weighs that, and this is, I just say this as an example of like part of my issue. I don't think we would see Hugh Jackman have that honest reflection, because I think that he is committed to a version of the character that is, I mean, he's like, you know, I'm the best I am at what I do, and I'm, you know, rough and rugged, but I don't think we would see that version wrestle with the decision to kill a child who might create more problems later on, in a way that I think we got to see Comic Wolverine, even though he landed on no. He was a no vote in that scenario. It happened, and then it's so good. I'm gonna have you read this comic someday. Wow. But like the team just silently gets in the ship and leaves after that happens. Like they because they're like, we came here to do the job, and it happened, and it's going back now. It's kind of fucked up, but ultimately that was the choice that was made, and that's just the opening arc of that story. You see. It builds, and there's more conversation to be had, but like I said, I just think that's the sort of thing you wouldn't see if this person's making a gajillion dollars to play Wolverine, I think he's going to have some creative pull, and I don't know. I just want more freedom to explore, I think, is what I want. I don't think that with the current method of, like, how much money all these actors are making to portray these characters, I just don't know what that looks like. And it's all very corporate, as you said.
Yeah,
I mean, we're going for the most mass appeal.
Yeah. Money drives it all.
In the end, comics are just where it's at. You know, that's my conclusion.
Pitch,
but Ryan Reynolds, you're not really an enemy of the pod. I mean, you did get married on a plantation, which I ain't forget. But aside from that, I don't know. You're just kind of...
So far, what we've said, you mostly, but it seems like he's leaning enemy unless proved otherwise.
Yeah. I need you to, like, speak out maybe a little bit.
Yeah, because we know you're watching this, Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, for sure.
Right, okay, this is kind of good. This is something that I wanted to ask you this week. Since we're talking Marvel, different characters, you're talking about which X-Men characters.
Yeah, I am all
like
Marvel today.
And this will involve it's a two-parter here. First, you as a self-proclaimed Marvel comic enthusiast, Marvel probably in general as well, what is the best comic you think is the gateway comic to get people to like Marvel comics and want to read them again? So not necessarily your favorite comic, but a comic that you think is a good entryway, it encapsulates kind of what comics are, specifically Marvel, and would be something that you would give to somebody to be like, all right, you know, eventually, if you like comics, I'll give you my, like, crazy take, and I really like this, whatever copy this is, but just to get people's foot in the door. And it doesn't have to be one specific, it could be like just like a character, be like, oh, read something that this character's in.
Yeah, I have maybe a couple answers here, because I think there's different. Sometimes you want the really personal, like the solo story. So like maybe just for that solo aspect, I really like. Actually, I'm gonna table that. As an X-Men fan, it pains me to recommend this book because it's written by another enemy of the pod, Joss Whedon, who's like confirmed like a sex pest ? Like some weird stuff going on. Pest. However, yeah, he wrote Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all that, and I think he just acted really weird with women on set.
Okay.
But unfortunately, he wrote what I really do recommend to people as like a definitive X-Men run, Astonishing X-Men. It is an incredible... It just focuses on like 6. The team is Cyclops, Emma Frost. It's right after Jean died. So this is like fresh. Scott's wife Jean died, and now he's with Emma, and they're together. And people have opinions. And it's drama. And
Scott, that's Beast, right?
Beast is in that. Oh, wait. Yeah. What?
Who's Scott again?
Scott is a Cyclops.
Oh, Cyclops. That's what it is.
But Beast is also on the team. Okay. And this is actually, if you saw X3, this storyline heavily influenced that movie and The Cure, you know, where there's a cure for mutant powers. And Beast openly wrestling with the choice to take the cure. And, you know, Wolverine who's also on the team, has a conversation with him. Again, Joss Whedon, people really like Buffy still. And I feel like this is a situation where, like, you can really look at the art that's produced and still glean some goodness. But Wolverine, I will never forget, he says to Beast, he's like, you are an X-Man, you are an Avenger, and if you take this cure, like, you are giving permission for them to start shooting it into us. Like, you would be a public figure, you know,
you're agreeing with it,
being like, oh yeah, like, take the cure if you want, and then they're going to start shooting us with it, you know, and like, that's not the message you need to send. But that weighed against Beast being like, especially at that time, he's like, I'm in pain all the time because of my mutation, and I'm not happy, like, with the way I look.
He's like, but I want it. Like,
I do genuinely want it. It's just an interesting conversation that you can apply to the world. Really good. It ends with an alien. The aliens that we're fighting in that book shoot a missile at the planet Earth and dispatch all the heroes on Earth, so no one can do anything about it. Kitty Pryde, who can phase, inside the missile, realizes it's a bullet. There's no machinery, so she can't shut it down, and the bullet is just flying on a straight path, no thrust to Earth, and the finale she uses her powers and via telepathy knows when it's about to hit Earth and phases it through the planet and just flies through and just flies through space and is gone for years from the comics. It affected me so heavily. Such a good comic. Me saying that does not ruin the emotional beats. There's so many layers to this, and the cure is an aspect. It's also good. Avengers started a new run.
Sorry, what was that? What was it called? The last
Astonishing X-Men.
Astonishing X-Men.
Volume 1.
Volume 1.
The second one is Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. Avengers. It kind of came out it came out in 2012. So there was a little bit of the worry, I think, for me when I started reading it. It was when I was getting into comics, and I don't know if you remember when Avengers came out in theaters, like the movie.
Oh yeah, that was.
But I feel like it was really big. I remember being excited. I have tried to watch it since, like on like TBS, and I'm like
2014 maybe or something like that, or somewhere around there.
I think it was 2012 because this comic I think came out in 2013, and they advertised it at first as like, oh yeah, the 6 Avengers, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Hulk. And the first issue, they all go to Mars to fight somebody, and Captain America is the only one who returns. He's sent back, and the rest of them are dispatched and taken out by this new existential universal threat. And then he opens up, like, the Avengers Network, and the team quickly expands into, like, a Justice League Unlimited style, like, heroes of the Marvel Universe all teamed up. And issue to issue, the cast would change, and they would say, well, this issue we're going to give Captain America, Spider-Woman, Wolverine, and somebody else. And it's just really good, and it builds so beautifully into a big event that occurs in the 2015s, also written by Jonathan Hickman. A fantastic comic. It just what's
the name of this again?
Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. And he also writes New Avengers, which is about a group called the Illuminati, who have like the movers.
New Avengers?
Yeah, New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman also. But that has like the brains, like Iron Man, Beast is there as a stand-in for Charles Xavier, Mr. Fantastic, Black Panther, Namor, and another smart guy. But it's like all these smart characters realizing that across the multiverse, what's it called? Earth as a nexus point, the universes are colliding and both universes are dying. And that's happening in pairs across the multiverse. Something is happening that's making universes collide and implode. So they make the executive decision, again, without consulting anybody, that in the minutes before the incursion occurs, they're going to blow up the other planet Earth, and our universes will pass. And we will save our planet and our reality by committing genocide on this other planet. And they do it repeatedly. And it is character defining for a lot of these characters that they go along with it for as long as they do. But I love that. And I think in issue 2 even, it intersects with the Avengers comic. Captain America like walks into a room where this conversation's happening and just like, I'm not cool with this. Like, this is not something I'm cool with. And they wipe his memory. And then that just goes on where Iron Man is on the team with Captain America and Avengers, and they're doing their regular superhero stuff. And then you see Iron Man over here like, yeah, I really hate that we had to wipe Steve's memory, but like, I mean,
that's what it is, for the greater good.
We have to, someone has to be the bad guy. And in general, those two comics and how they intersect, it's so good. And I think a good like entry point for people. I mean, Hickman can be a little wordy and a little in his own head. I mean, this is really high concept shit that I'm describing. I realize a little bit, but like it is really fun, and I think not too hard to follow. And yeah, I think those are my main recommendations in terms of like individual like stories. Maybe I'd say like there's like a She-Hulk run in 2014. That's just about her being a lawyer that I always really, really liked. And I feel like just as like an individual comic, it works so well to just like establish like what it is to be a superhero lawyer. And it's funny, and she like, like has a life. She hires like her assistants and like hooks up with people, and in general is just like a really, really fun comic. So I think those are my recommendations. I could talk for a little while. I could give a million recommendations.
Those are good. Maybe people can ask, as they keep watching, they can always ask for more.
Yeah.
But yeah, Astonishing X-Men, Avengers by Jonathan Hickman.
Yeah.
And New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman.
Definitely. Definitely.
And this kind of then leads, because we sometimes like to do like a top 10 list or whatever. I wanted to know your personal, keep it short and sweet, your Marvel comic book character top 10. Because in previous episodes, if you listen, we looked at Watch Mojo's top 10, and I knew he would think some of the picks were wild on that, so that's why I picked it. I want to hear yours.
Yeah. I thought about this like a little bit. I just changed the order of something. But I think I feel pretty definitively about this. So I'm going to go in reverse order. Once we get to top 5, it's all pretty interchangeable. Yeah. I mean, maybe not interchangeable, but like they could move up or down one probably. 10, I have She-Hulk without a doubt, because She-Hulk is the original Deadpool. I mean, she is the one who, she used to be like her covers. Maybe one day we'll look at her covers from her 80s series, but like her like covers for her comics were always like looking at the reader and her being like, you better buy this comic or I'm coming to your house and ripping up your X-Men comics. Covers from the 80s that say that, and she just is very self-aware. So I love that. And also something about being like a lawyer, like the superhero lawyer. I love when she pops up in stories and like someone's having a legal issue and then suddenly She-Hulk is there and she's like, actually, this is my client and you can't do that. So love that. 9, probably controversial. I'm going to go with Betsy Braddock, aka Captain Britain, aka Psylocke. Because Psylocke, the psychic ninja.
I do from Marvel Rivals. They're also named Captain Britain.
So Psylocke is this is going to be its own topic maybe someday, but so Psylocke, the Japanese ninja, is a character whose name is Kanan. Betsy Braddock is a white woman from England who her brother is Captain Britain in the Marvel universe. But she's also a telepath. At one point, due to some really convoluted retcons, her and Kanan body swapped, and Kanan caught the legacy virus, which is mutant AIDS. Listen, there's a lot of that, and died in Betsy's body. So Betsy, that's why when you think of Psylocke, she was trapped inside in Kanan's body. But since and she walked around as an Asian woman for 30 plus years of publication. Not a good look. I mean, objectively, not something that I think like people would do today. But in recent years, they've reswapped the bodies. Both characters exist now. Kanan is back in her original body with the X-Men as Psylocke, and Betsy has taken the role of Captain Britain from her brother. And so she's now a psychic Captain Britain. And what I love about Captain Britain is in the Marvel universe, Captain Britain are kind of like a multiversal Green Lantern Corps. So there's a version of Betsy in every universe across the Omniverse that is the Captain Britain of her reality. And sometimes she's a man, and sometimes she's a dinosaur. And there's like a goose Captain Britain that she hangs out with sometimes. But there's a literal infinite core of Betsy Braddocks, which I just love conceptually. That's cool. And really like her. So that's my 9.
So the dinosaur speaks English and is like, I am Betsy,
and is a psychic and has little Captain Britain armor. But it's silly, crazy. But I love that silly shit. My 8 on my list is Silk, Cindy Moon, who is a recent character. She debuted in like 2013, I want to say, but she's the girl who after the spider bit Peter Parker, it crawled away. We never saw what happened to it. He didn't kill it. But it crawled and essentially bit Cindy right after and injected more of the venom into her. So she, was spinning webs out of her body with no control after this event. And it ruined her life. And her parents gave her to a Spider-Man villain. I believe it was the Jackal. Again, I'm not the most caught up on Spider-Man stuff. But he put her in a bunker for like 10 years. And she lived in a bunker for 10 years and then emerged. And now she is a spider hero. I didn't recommend her comic earlier, but her debut comic, so good, and it literally ends, she's looking for her brother. It's an emotional book. It's really, really fantastic. So I love Silk. I want so much more for Silk as a spider person. Yeah. Not so much to say about Silk otherwise. 7 is Destiny of the X-Men, without a doubt. And I don't know if you know Destiny, but she's precognitive. She can see the future, and she's a blind woman.
Yeah, it does sound familiar. Don't they do that in one of the movies? No, I could be wrong.
Destiny did not show up in any movies, but she just sees the future. She's also Mystique's. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
What is it? What's that like newer X-Men movie where they go back in time? He goes back in time.
Days of Future Past.
Yeah, is that...
And someone was projecting his mind back. That was Kitty, who they had doing that.
Okay, all right.
Who was actually in the comics, because Kitty's not psychic. That was done by number 3 on my list.
Okay.
But
we'll get there.
Destiny's just an old woman. I'm going to show you some photos of her mask, because she is just a scary lady. She has this mask, and she's just an old woman. An old woman in like a suit who is Mystique's wife. So, yeah, if you didn't know, her and Mystique are married.
I did not know.
And she just kind of like, again, Mystique is like one of the deadliest women on the planet. And she will do anything to protect Destiny. And also Mystique's cells are constantly renewing. So she and Destiny are the same age, but Destiny's like an old woman, and Mystique is, hot, ever 25 Mystique.
Yeah.
But I did pull up like...
Mystique is Leo's favorite.
I think she would. Enemy of the pod, Leo DiCaprio, honestly, sorry. But I did pull up, there's, at one point her and Mystique have like someone captured, a very prominent villain in X-Men. And they're like, okay, we're going to kill you now. And she's like, well, what happens then? Like, don't you know? Can't you see what happens after you kill me? And I just want to read this monologue from Destiny, because Destiny is just such a scary lady. She said, "This moment is a profound nexus point, the most intense I've ever experienced. I honestly wasn't prepared for this moment to have this magnitude. With each word spoken, with each action taken, my vision doubles and blurs. It comes and goes. Possibilities of branching realities and potential tomorrows fluctuate wildly. What we do today will matter." And there's this cool panel. She is just a scary lady that is constantly...
That's very serious.
8 steps ahead, and to communicate like... in this moment where I typically have so much certainty about what's coming, I don't know what happens when we kill you. Like, that is some real interesting shit. So, again, love Destiny. A lot of these, like, later ones I'm not going to have to explain too much. 6 is Emma Frost. Just X-Men's, like...
The baddie herself.
Just a baddie, just a psychic. The secondary mutation of Diamond is so lit, and... like, not a good person at the beginning of at the beginning of her time in the comics. Like, she was a villain, and she actually facilitated the Dark Phoenix saga, where Jean goes insane and murders billions in space, because she set Jean up with like a psychic predator who took complete advantage of her. It's heavily implied awful stuff happened to Jean that Emma oversaw because she was a villain at the time, and then eventually had a psychic affair with Jean's man, and like Jean literally walked in on that. So it's like, not a good person, but ultimately has redeemed herself, and through her relationship to Cyclops, I think they have really affected each other in a way that I just, if you were there in the 2010s reading Emma and Scott, so good. 5 is Jean, because I do really like Jean, and her and Emma switch sometimes, but I just feel like Jean is like the blueprint, low-key. I feel like in all media you see like a woman who's, I'm so powerful, I can't control it, and that is Jean Grey. Like, Jean Grey, for those who have the eyes to see, is in everything. And I would argue that the MCU's depiction of the Scarlet Witch by Elizabeth Olsen is kind of just Jean Grey. Like, I think they fully just did Jean Grey. So
that's in everything. Sometimes it's a kid.
It's
a kid who has the power they can't control.
Jean's influence, she really is like a mother, like truly, she has many sons. Okay, 4, Magneto, because in
a world where things are so I don't know why I was about to say defiant. Heavily reliant. There we go. On metal. He's such a badass.
Yeah, like
I mean, it's like the possibilities are endless with how powerful he can get, which is cool. Like once he gets the helmet, where they can't get into his mind.
Mm-hmm. Which also, fun fact, is an example of the movies influencing the comics that I'm not mad at, because it wasn't like that in the comics.
It wasn't like that.
No, it was not like that in the comics for the movies, and then they shifted
cool.
that, which I like, to be honest.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, he's just a sad man. He's lived a long time. I feel like, you know, I know we're casting X-Men now, and like people are like, oh well, like there's no way he's going to be like a survivor of the Holocaust, you know, in this movie, because so much time has passed, and like he would have to be 100 and however many years old. I'm sorry, we're dealing in superheroes. He was aged down or aged, you know what I mean?
Easily
like
can make that happen.
You can make that happen, and I just feel like his identity as a survivor of the Holocaust is so important, and I really don't think you should lose it, because I just think, like, again, he's seen the extremes of like human prejudice, and you know, it's like never again, and that's at the root of his ideology. Like, we will not be doing this again, and I know he loves children.
And it's cool how he becomes a villain sometimes because of that absolute, you know? Like,
well, because what is a villain, right? Like, is being, like, you know, deemed a villain by the United States government, does that make you a villain? Because
it doesn't right now.
I think right now, like, a lot of us would be considered like opponents of the U.S. government and the current regime, and like, does that make you a villain? No, there's so much nuance to that conversation, and I think Magneto points out the passive violence that like people are okay with in a way that, you know, obviously is just like cool. Okay, top 3.
All right.
3, Rachel Summers, who is my muse in a certain way. I think the character I like the most in X-Men, depending on what's going on. She's 3 right now because the other 2 I just couldn't justify putting below her.
Does she have like a super name? Or is it Rachel?
She goes by Prestige for a little bit in the 2010s, but I hate that name. I've been in forums advocating that she goes by the name Revenant, and unsuccessfully. But I just feel like Revenant. I think she was in an AU called Revenant one time, and I was like, that is just such a cool name. She grew up in an alternate timeline. She's Jean and Scott's child from an alternate future, where humanity won. And not only did they win, but they access her as a telepath, the daughter of Jean, and completely brainwash, torture her, and turn her into a hound, where she wears a skin-tight suit and psychically hunts mutants.
Holy shit.
And kills them. And that's what happens until she breaks free and flees to our timeline and meets her parents at like 22 years old, and she's like 19. And there's like a funny thing where she runs up to Jean and she's like, oh my god, like, I'm your daughter and I'm so happy to be here. And Jean's like, no, like, I don't want that. Like, no, I don't have a daughter who's 3 years younger than me, actually. And she's just very tragic. She has, like, at one point, you know, just a lot of really cool stuff. But I love that she exists in the modern day as a hero. And that she's kind of like a doomer. She's, like, constantly like the elephant in the room. She's like, she has literally face tattoos, marks that go like this from when she was a hound.
That's crazy.
That people can just see all the time, and she's like, "Yeah, I come from a future where like we were in camps." Yeah, it's I love her. She's one of my favorites. 2, again, could switch between 1, but it's Storm.
I knew that was up there for you.
I just think that Storm is it's undeniable. You know, I don't think there's anything to be said. I feel like there's also like, the fact that we haven't had, like, a good portrayal of Storm, no shade to Halle Berry, but, you know, not enemy of the pod, Halle Berry. It's not your fault, per se, but, like, you did not capture what Storm truly could deliver. Yeah, I just wish that there was a good portrayal of her, but at the same time, I feel like everybody knows who Storm is. Like, I feel like whether or not you've watched a movie, whether or not you've seen anything, it's something about the visual, and it's something about the grandness. Like, people know who Storm is.
And I'm kind of just thinking this now about how in humanity it runs deep in her powers being like godly.
Yeah.
Like, think about like ancient civilizations. Like the gods controlled the weather, you know? Like that was, I mean, Oh no, you
Yeah,
can
absolutely.
say that with modern day guys, but yeah, no, that is something that is very ingrained of like, that is a huge stereotypical like, you know, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who talk about, they almost view these powerful superheroes and how they got their powers and what their powers are as like gods in a way.
Yeah.
Like that to me, like just making a tornado appear or something, or like a, you know, use harness lightning. Like that is like, she is like Zeus, you know, like
she truly,
like that's a very powerful godly type power. That I think no matter who you talk to, it's like known as like that's badass. You know?
And also, I feel like unfortunately she becomes like lightning girl to a lot of the time with people. I think people, writers especially, are intimidated to write Storm because it's like there's so much weight to your depiction and all that. But Al Ewing is a writer I really like, and he wrote a fantastic Storm in a book called Sword, and then also X-Men Red. But Storm getting to truly play with her powers in a way that like at one point there's like a whole bunch of alien bounty hunters that like happen upon the scene, and she raises the air pressure and she tells like the other heroes that are with her, she's like, everyone just take like 5 steps back, and she raises the air pressure and drops it suddenly and all their eardrums explode, you know. And it's like there's so many layers to weather, and there's so many layers to like it's a little corny, it's a little bit like Avatar: The Last Airbender actually, in this way where it's like the elements are kind of what we think they are, and if you get creative and if you try to, you know, explore within that, you can kind of manipulate the essence of the universe. And like that's really what's at the core of her in a way that like we're starting to explore in modern comics, and I just love it. I love it. I think she's so cool. But my number one slot, and definitely controversial. This may get some of our first hate comments.
Okay.
But it's Cyclops without a doubt. I just feel like Cyclops is the, in my mind, premier hero of Marvel. I feel like he, maybe not in a way that people like or like would want to own up to, but I just feel like Scott is like, you know, he has a reputation among the mainstream as like a Boy Scout or kind of a wet blanket to Wolverine's like rugged, like, oh, like he's with Jeannie, and like I just, you know, I'm this like, you know, rugged guy. But in reality, like, there's in the comics, when I started getting into comics, this is definitely why I feel this way. Avengers versus X-Men occurred, which is like character assassination across the board. That whole event is just like, well, we'll unpack that someday. But in the wake of it, Wolverine is aligned to the United States government, and Scott ends up being like a huge. I mean, he kills Charles Xavier.
Cyclops does.
Yes, while the Phoenix Force was present, so there was it wasn't Scott shooting Xavier. It was there was layers to it. But Scott goes on the run and he leads like a revolutionary movement, being like, I am so tired of the fact that, like, you know, and he literally confronts the Avengers like on panel, which I know this is the source of a lot of conversations, but I like this conversation. I feel like I can still like the Avengers while saying, like, I'm sorry, but like they want to put us in camps. Like, do you want to say something about that? Like, do you want to use being a public facing superhero like to like protect my people, or are you just going to let it go? Like these people will eradicate us and justify it easily to the next generations. Like, you have to care, otherwise you're not a hero. And like that is such an uncomfortable conversation to have, but I love Scott do it. I just love that he got to be that voice, and like you know, it's radical per se, but I feel like it kind of speaks to, he's not Xavier and he's not Magneto. I think he kind of is a synthesis of their ideology, where he's like, I do value and recognize like the importance of symbolism and being a hero and being, you know, we're still going to protect humans, but my rights and the rights of my children are optional, you know, like that's not something I'm willing to, like, maybe someday in 10 years people will be more understanding. No, you have to care now, and if you don't, you're an enemy, and like it makes people uncomfortable. We're shaking the table, but as he kind of acknowledges, like, someone has to shake the table, like someone has to be the one to stand up, because if you don't, again, the powers that be want us in camps, like my daughter Rachel. They want us to hunt each other and, you know, become a resource, you know? Yeah. So Yeah, that list took a long time, but I appreciate you for asking me because
Yeah,
clearly I have a lot of thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, Cyclops #1 for sure. I don't know.
Cool. I wouldn't have guessed that. I guess I don't know what I would guess. But that's kind of cool. Especially, I liked your Xavier Magneto type blend. Because that is cool. I mean, that's like that makes perfect sense as to why he would be like that. So
yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, no,
I knew you would have some takes. I knew it would be a big question for you. So I was like, we need to get this out of the way early, in these beginning episodes. So, we need a basis for your Marvel likes and dislikes.
I appreciate that too because I feel like this will probably inform some of our later conversations too, but yeah, no, I am eager. It made me think about some things that maybe I could bring to the table, just around like storylines that again, like I'm a big Mr. Theme and narrative guy, but like I love. It has me thinking about why I like some of these characters and what I've seen of them that makes me like really resonate and like even just Cyclops as #1. Like I'm sure is surprising to people to hear when someone's favorite character is Cyclops, but like it comes from moments. It comes from moments in the story where he's like. Really gotten to show.
To you, it's the pure definition of a superhero.
Literally. So, I will, may have more musings on, this list. It's subject to change, but, no, thank you for asking me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I knew you'd enjoy it. Because, I thought that was good to ask you good comic book recommendations, and then people would see, well, like, what is your top 10? Like kind of what have you gotten out of the comic Marvel sphere, and kind of out of all the ones you've read, which character stood out to you? So I don't know. And that was something I never personally knew about you. So I thought that'd be good. I know we're running a little bit out of time here.
Yeah.
So do you have a recommendation for this week? If so, we can both give a recommendation quick. Mine will be very quick.
I don't have a recommendation, so take my time, please.
All right. No. Okay. So, I mean...
My recommendation is don't watch Marvel Zombies.
Well, your recommendation is also these comics.
Oh, true. True. You're right.
And, anybody listening or watching right now, we try to give a recommendation every week of something that we can personally vouch for. And, obviously, as we make more of these, there's going to be more. The list of recommendation grows, so you don't have to try everything. But even if you try one thing, it's great. And this is something that I've started, and I need to finish and actively keep up with. This is kind of a strange recommendation. It's not a piece of media per se. It's technically a social media. I use this app called GG. And anybody listening, if there's an app that you like better, I could easily convert. I'm not diehard onto this app, more of just keeping track of your collection, I guess you could say. So the app GG I've been using to keep track of anything and all video games that I have either bought, played, waiting to play. Like there's a huge kind of it's like a tracking device on your collection of games, right? So in there I have the list of games I've beat. I have a list of games that I've 100%ed. So not only you beat it, but you completed it. Like you've done everything in it. You have games that you're currently playing. You have games that you own, but you just haven't played yet. There's games that, what is it called? It's like you shelved, I think. Maybe not shelved. No, it's like never play again or something. Hold on.
But it's like Letterbox for video games.
For video games. Oh, abandon. That's what it is. So I have ones on my abandon, and like these could be a hot take in and of itself. Because so abandon is. These are games that you have played before, and you're never going to pick up again.
Ooh, give us a hot one right now.
Here's a hot one, Hollow Knight.
I
played maybe 3-4 hours of Hollow Knight. Ooh, alarm's going off. I don't think I'm abandoning that game.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Which is crazy as a person who likes platformers. That might be the reason why I don't like it as much. I don't know. But I have like my abandoned list, my shelved, which is... So this is a good example. I recommended Crash 4. It's about time. So I've completed like the base kind of thing of that, like the base game. But I put it on my shelved because I want to go back and 100% it, right? So that's a good kind of option of like shelf, or like Cyberpunk, for example, when that first came out.
Yeah.
I played a good maybe like 20, 25 hours. It's pretty buggy and it's different now than it was then. And I kind of realized I was like, I should let it go for a little bit and then come back. So I have that on my shelf. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and not only that, once you complete a game, so like beaten, or even when you're playing it technically, any game, you can give it a review, which I'm taking very seriously. As I talked about the ranking system, I hate how things are, so I'm taking mine extremely seriously. I haven't gotten all my games on here yet because it's a whole lifetime of playing games. But I'm going to do that, and it's also like a social media app, so you can see, like, you can follow people and see like their reviews on games, what they're playing, what they've, all their lists. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool. I haven't used it much for social media purposes. It's been more just for me to keep track of what I want to play, what I'm currently playing, what I have already played, all of that, and ranking them all. And sometimes, and maybe more in the future, I would like to, once that's complete, and I have all the game, because I'm at like a little over 100, and I still have hundreds to go to enter in. So, but once I get it to the point where I'm caught up and I'm like actively upkeeping with the games I'm now currently playing, it's just opening it back up and seeing like, okay, well, what's the review I gave on that as I recommend it to somebody. I don't know. I think it's cool, and that's something I recommend. If there's any other app that people use, let me know. But as my research that I did when I first had this idea, it seemed to be the best one at the time. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. If you're real into video games, I think it's something that can be utilized.
I feel like that'd be really good just to like have to keep track of the catalog, because I feel like
there's also games that you can put as like you want to play, so you don't own yet. It's like on your wish list kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. It's
I'm
great.
assuming there's like some sort of community, or you can read other people's thoughts on games.
Yeah, so you can make posts.
Yeah,
you can make posts on it. You can be like, hey, these are my reviews. Like, you can follow people on it. Again, I don't think it's like that big. I think the highest followed account on there probably has like a couple 100,000. So, we're not anywhere close to like real social media levels of like following. I think it's like the account that like created this app has like the most followers or whatever. But yeah, who knows? Maybe it'll take off one day. Again, even if it doesn't take off social media wise, it's still a great app just for your own personal, collection and everything, and how you feel. And I almost like use other reviews on games to then kind of ground me and be like, all right, as I'm reviewing this game, like, what did I review that? Okay, I reviewed that as like a 3.5 out of 5. So like, I need to use that as kind of like an anchor on how I review this next thing. So I don't know, it's cool. I like it.
Yeah, and figuring out your own internal measurement system, I think would be like cool.
Oh yeah. So many games are coming out now. I sometimes forget, like, oh yeah, I wanted to play that, and like I've kind of put it off for 6 months, and like I easily could have done it, but I just played another game or whatever.
Didn't your game Ghost of Yotei just come out?
It did, and I'm trying to finish Baldur's Gate 3 before
what?
Well, because I realized through my, I was like, I'm like a little, 2/3 maybe of the way into Baldur's Gate 3, so I was like, maybe I can crank that out real quick and then play. I don't know. I might be playing both at the same time. So
yeah. I'm assuming you know what the night song is by this point.
I think I'm at that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I won't say anything else, but
we'll see. Yeah, I'll be able to, because I'm still in. I haven't gotten to Baldur's Gate yet.
Yeah.
I'm like right at that night song stuff.
You are,
which
the
I can
song.
sense. This is a big thing. I'm doing those damn trials.
Events of the trial. Yeah. You're getting there.
But yeah, so it's a cool app. That's my recommendation of the week.
Nice.
But yeah, check that out. Check out Astonishing X-Men, Avengers, and New Avengers by Jonathan Hickman.
Yep.
Unless you have anything else.
No, I mean, I love that we established an enemies list that will be running.
Yes, yeah.
And
we should have it back here, like a whiteboard.
Yeah, with like photos with their eyes crossed out or whatever. Ryan Reynolds, Leo DiCaprio, Joss Whedon. You said somebody else.
Morgan Wallen.
Morgan Wallen at the top, actually.
This
number one
has
spot.
Nothing to do with music.
Yeah.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I thought about reviewing the new Taylor Swift album today.
I've heard some things.
Maybe next week. Tune in and find out. But Yeah, no, I don't have anything else, so...
Yeah, all right. Neither do I. Everybody, thanks for listening. Tune in every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
We will stream at some point. We're still figuring it out.
Stay tuned.
We're still new with this, so we're just glad that you're listening or watching. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, have a good rest of your week, and signing off.
Peace out.